Okay, I am super, super excited because I've literally been following Rachel like forever and just like following along with her journey. And I'm super excited to have her on this Zoom with us tonight. If you guys are brand new and if you've never been on a Zoom before, you're just gonna hang out, kick back, listen, and get your cup filled. Take notes if you want. If you don't know who I am, my name is Asia Stone. I am your double diamond upline. And you guys are about to just get your minds blown because Rachel has done so much amazing stuff over the last couple of years, and I'm just super, super excited for you guys to hear from her. So I am going to, Rachel, I think you can unmute yourself. Yes. Hey, okay, I'm so excited. So starting off, if you just want to like give your quick 5-minute story. I know you talk really, really fast. So we're recording, guys. You can try to take notes, but this will be up on my Zoom tomorrow. So just kind of give us like your 5-minute story.
I am a fast talker, guys, so this is great. Okay, so yes, it's been 5.5 years in the business, and just rewinding back to when I got started, I was one of the people that like has the story of I wasn't looking for it. It definitely found me because fresh out of high school when I was 19, I had joined Avon, and I was just like, I was young, partying, like it was just such a horrible time, and nothing against the company, but it was more so for older people. So like we just didn't mix well, and I did really bad. And so because I failed at that company, I had the mindset that I just wasn't a salesperson. So I wasn't looking for this business, but I was at a time in my life, I did everything completely backwards. My husband and I, we've been together for 10 years, and we just screwed everything up. We got pregnant when we were 20. I was in college. Around my college schedule, that came first, but around my college schedule, I would waitress as much as I could, and there were 10-hour shifts. So I would do 3 to 4 days a week, which is full time, but I was part time, and I was busy, and I had my son, and I was literally the definition of just a young struggling mom. I was on government assistance. I was just like a baby raising a baby, and being on government assistance felt cool right off the bat because it was free money. And then I just like, I don't know, it just started to feel really, really gross. And I was literally to a point where I'm like, there's got to be more to life than this. And then at the perfect time, I saw this on my newsfeed. I was interested in the wraps, still had no desire, nor did I even think that this was a thing to make money with it, because that's how like out of my head it was with being a salesperson. And so when I couldn't afford the wraps, and I realized like as a mom, you come at the bottom of the totem pole kind of deal, she brought up the business side. And so it's crazy because I didn't have the $59 to be a customer for the wraps that day, but somehow I found $100. So it's crazy, it's crazy, it's crazy. Never give up. You just never know when you just find the right person and you say the right thing. And so I just had this feeling in my stomach that it was going to be like different and it was going to be good. Now, when I thought of good, I was like, I could at least make a couple $100s a month. Like that's how much we needed it. And so I jumped in, I used our credit card. My husband was totally not for it. But I'm the type of person that I'm just like, I'm going to do what I want. And I say that with all due respect. I love him and I run everything by him, but I had made my mind up. So I did it. And he was the reason why I pushed so hard. My son was 8 months old at the time, and I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to give him a better life, but I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So he wasn't necessarily my why. Zach was, because I wanted to prove him wrong. He was on salary pay, and I was on like, tips, and you don't know what you're going to get when you're a waitress. And so I just wanted to do more. So I jumped in. I went diamond in 3 months. Just long story short, this is our 5-minute, not 50-minute story. I went diamond in 3 months. I was still in college when I did that, still a full-time waitress, still a mom. And my husband wanted to propose right before I joined It Works. So I was also wedding planning. I was so stinking busy, but I joined and I didn't want to fail. I don't know. I was scared out of my mind, but I just did it. And I sacrificed a lot. I don't know how I found time, but I did. Went diamond in 3 months. That comma changed everything for us. 2 months later, was 5 months in. I went double. He went diamond, and the bonuses were double. So we were making about like $7,000 a month at that point. And it was 5 months in. We were 22, and we quit our jobs the next day. The only reason I graduated college was because at this point I had like 4 months left and my parents were paying for my education. They would have killed me if I dropped out my senior year after they paid for all of that. I hadn't had to touch my degree, nothing. And then a year after that, we went triple. So that was about 15 months in, doing really, really good. And I know what I'm about to say next is going to lead to another question, so I won't say too much now. But around triple is when life got really hard and my business suffered with that life struggle. And so I'll get into that in another question, but it took me a year after going triple to go Pres, and then a year after Pres to go ambassador, and that was in 2019, the beginning of the year, right after conference. I have like a sweet spot with right after conference. I promote, and I promoted every single time, double, triple, Pres, and ambassador was all the month after conference. So here I am now. I don't know what I'm going to do after this conference. Maybe go Diamond 1.0, 2.0. But that's my short, fast story.
I love that. So guys, all of you who like think you're so busy, and I know this is one of like the questions that's on here, we hear all the time, like, I'm so busy, you know, my kids are sick, I have class, this, that, and the other, and you can find a million excuses not to work your business, but you just need that like one reason to do it, and you have that. So I love that you like went Diamond in 3 months while going to school full time and working full time and like being a mom. Yeah. It's just so crazy. So since joining, what are like the 5 biggest things that you've been able to do that you wouldn't have been able to do without this company?
Yes. So I skimmed over your questions like an hour ago, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm glad I looked," because I'm like, I don't know. That's like, it's hard because I feel like we've been able to do so much. So it's like, what's the most significant things that we've been able to do? And I would say the first one was we were going back to Honduras for our 3rd year in a row, and I haven't always wanted to, but for a while, since digging into my faith, I wanted to go on a mission trip so bad. And I think so many people have messaged me saying they want to. I think they're in the same position of where I was 2 years ago, where it's like, I wanted to serve and I wanted to do something along the lines of a mission trip somewhere, somehow, but it's like, I don't know where to even begin. Like, I just didn't know. And it was so overwhelming and seemed so hard that I almost like felt like I would never be able to do it. And so that I was able to do, and it was great, all because of Children's Cup through It Works. And we've been able to give back so much throughout them. And it's like, I went to school for social work, and I always wanted to just like save the kids. So it kind of like, it aligns with that. And so we've been able to do a lot with Children's Cup and missions, and it's just been really great. That we also moved out of state. We moved to Tennessee 9 months ago. Never, ever thought that we would be able to. And that was, financially, yeah, it's expensive to move, but just the freedom. It was, everyone asked why Tennessee. It was just all a God thing, and it was all completely random, just because we could. That was great. My boys have 4-figure savings accounts set up, which is super awesome. We definitely wouldn't be able to do that because we wouldn't even have a savings account ourselves. All of the traveling and just the freedom of being home with my babies, I would say those are super cliche answers, but I just feel like we've been able to do so much. It's hard to really pick just a couple. Because now it seems normal. Like, it's been 5.5 years of us doing what we want. And I don't say that in a bragging tone, but now it seems so natural and normal that it's like, what's the most significant? Because it seems like this is just all we know at this point. It's weird. It's just a weird thing.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I've been home for like 4 years, and sometimes I have to like remind myself, like, girl, like, it wasn't always like this,
Right. Yeah.
But like, I always ask this question, and it's so funny when you hear the different answers, but like, yours were not about you. Like, it wasn't about you. It was about, like, I love that. Like, that says so much about your heart and just who you are as a person. So that's awesome. So you said that your parents paid for your schooling. Yeah. So I'm assuming, I'm going to just go out on a limb here and make an assumption that like you didn't have like a crappy upbringing. Your parents were able to afford to pay for you to go to, get a 4-year degree and all of that. And I think a lot of the times in this business, people have the misconception of like that they have to have like a bad story or like a sad background or like had to have grown up in poverty or, being abused or different things to be able to have like a good success story when they come back from it. So, like growing up, did you come from a family that struggled and like that wasn't something that you wanted, or was this more something that like you just were like, well, I'm just gonna prove my husband wrong because he thinks that this is stupid?
This is good. That's a really, I don't think I've ever been asked that before, and that's crazy because I know that question was on your questions, and it's crazy that like my answer, weird. I'm just like kind of freaked out for a second, but that's a really good question. Really, really good question, because, and this is something my husband and I used to butt heads on because we were raised so differently. He lived in a small house, lots of siblings, didn't have anything, always yelled at, like hard life. And I was like, well, financially, we were given everything financially, but emotionally, I lacked a lot. And so it's hard because he doesn't, like, sometimes I'll complain about my childhood and he gets frustrated because I'm complaining about something that I'm like, it's not comparable because I did have money and he didn't. But I'm like, I'm still messed up because of the lack of emotional things childhood wise. So I did have a good upbringing. I'm very, very, very sensitive person. And so I'm realizing as I'm digging, like doing self-development for the first time in my life with this business, right? And going into church, I didn't do that before this business, all of these crazy things in the past 5 years, learning so much about myself that I'm like, really didn't have everything I needed when I was growing up financially. Yeah, but there was so much more. And it's like, it's hard. And my mom and I butt heads because she thinks she gave me everything because financially she did. Anyways, I'm very emotional, very emotional. And so when this business came to be, my parents, I don't think they were ticked off. They were annoyed. They were very annoyed when 5 months in, we both quit our jobs because they knew that this is what we were going to do for as long as we could, ride it till we couldn't ride it anymore. And now it's 5.5 years later. But the crazy thing is like, I feel like, I mean, this wasn't part of the plan. It wasn't at all. And my mom was one of the first people I called, and she said, don't do it. They don't work. It's a scam, yada, yada, yada. And then a month later, she joined me and I actually built her to diamond. She's not on my team anymore. Long story. But it's just crazy how it works out because I'm still, like, this is what's so wild to me and it's so frustrating is it's 5.5 years in and we still have people on both sides of our family who only like the pictures of our boys without the little sly of It Works, and they pay attention. They don't like the pictures or the posts that have to do with It Works. When we're at family functions, it's almost like not that I feel like I'm living a lie, but it's like you're prancing around your answers because they don't want to ask you about it. It's just weird how older people are. It's like, it's 5.5 years in, we get to give our boys the world, we're home as a family, and yet there's still people that are very uncomfortable by it and they don't like it at all. And it's just so freaking crazy. I'm the only one in my family that's doing something like this. Everybody else has a 9 to 5. Everybody. And my parents they're retired now and they're our biggest fans. My mom and my stepdad are my biggest fans, but there are still so many people on both sides that still don't get it and they don't like it. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because we put everything out there and they're more conservative. I don't know what it is, but it's wild. But no, this was never part of the plan. And a lot of people still to this day, they just don't get it. It's just weird. I feel like I didn't answer your question. I feel like I made up my own answer for that.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I don't even know what the question was.
Like last month or the month before, I like asked one of my cousins to put up a host post for me. And she's like, oh, like, I don't really post that stuff on my Facebook. And I'm like, okay, like, whatever.
I don't get it.
Like, why are you so salty? But I mean, it just is what it is. But like, I mean, that's fine. That was good. I'm going to keep moving on through this because I really want to talk about like Costa Rica and like your like comeback story. Like I really want to get to that. So, okay. So this kind of like goes hand in hand with like when you like lost rank and came back and did all that stuff. So, a lot of my leaders were on your Zoom that you did with Cammie the other night. So some of them have already heard part of this, but you had me like sobbing in tears because I've lost rank like several times and then got it back. And it's such an emotional roller coaster when like you go from seeing these huge paychecks and then they're dropping like thousands of dollars and you're like, oh my God, like what did I do? So, you know, a lot of the times I think it comes from like life getting in the way, feeling like you're burnt out. You know, one of the things you said is like, you know, one thing you said the other night was like that feeling of like, well, like, you know, why can't my team keep going without me? Like, why do they need me to keep pushing so hard with them? Like, can't I take a breather? And I think that all of us have been in that like leadership stage at some point in our business. But what really was it that like turned things around from when things got crappy to when you decided to make a change? And how do you deal with it when you have people on your team that are telling you that they're burnt out, that they're busy, that they, you know, are coming to you with these things that they don't know how to like move forward because they're just like feeling stuck and like they have too much going on to make their business a priority?
Yeah, this is good. So the first part of your question was like kind of the turnaround part. And you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's
Now,
crazy.
when
It's
did you
crazy.
lose rank? So
I
you went
lost,
triple.
yeah, and I lost rank twice. So I went triple in March of or February or March of 2016. And then I lost triple at the end, like either the end of July or August. And then I gave birth to my son in November and I lost double that month. So in December of 2016, I was being paid as a diamond, and my check as a diamond was 2,700, which as just a new diamond, that's great. That would be great for anyone, and they'd be blessed tremendously. But when you're making like high teens to 2,700, and your check and your bills are like 30,000, you're like, what the heck am I gonna do? And then Christmas was around that point, and we made so many mistakes in 2016. Like, God forbid we just freaking would have told people. Like, it's just, we felt like we had to like, I felt like everyone knew we were triples, so we had to like live still like we were triples. And no, I felt like I couldn't be honest. I don't know. I felt embarrassed, and I don't know. It was just so yucky. I hate 2016 sucked booty. The only great thing that came out of it was my freaking son. That's it. And I didn't like him for a minute too. We had a hard connection. He's a redhead and he's a savage. But all jokes aside, really though, when I decided, and I know I said this on that Zoom, when I never had that moment where I felt like God was leading me away. He didn't, I don't know, he never slammed the door in my face. So I just was like, okay, it's down to me. And the moment of like, let's just freaking do this already, I'm really sick and tired of this, was when my husband went back to work. He went back to work for 3 months. I don't think I said that. I don't know. I blacked out on that Zoom, but I don't think I said that. He went back to work for 3 months because I had failed. I did screw up. And there came a point where I just couldn't fight with him anymore over staying home. It wasn't making sense financially. And I was so scared about what people would think. And finally he was just like, it was too much. And he went back to work. And I remember our son, my oldest son, Carter, I don't know how old he was at the time, 4, 3, 3.5, 4. He talked a lot. And I remember being like, he was confused because Zach was home all the time. And then Zach's gone out of nowhere. And he would ask me, you know, where's daddy? And I remember feeling at one point like, oh my gosh, if I go back to work, because sometimes I think you have to get to a dark place. And I said this on the Zoom, I'm great at having a pity party for myself. And with this business, when you're not doing good, it's very easy to do that and just like lather yourself in it. I'm just like, poor me. I love to be sad. It's freaking weird and it's messed up. And so I was so like annoyed, and I just was like, no one gets it. Like, it's just so freaking hard. I lost rank, all these things. And then I remember, and I didn't mention this either. Me and Zach were arguing. We were arguing when he was job searching again. And I remember being so pissed off one time, and I was like, why do you get to go back to work? Like, why isn't it a question of me? Because like, our son Elijah as a newborn was psycho. It was horrible. He had colicky issues, and we couldn't figure him out, and he cried all the time. We were both like stressed out. And I was like, why do you get to go back to work? Like, I didn't sign up to be a single mom of 2. Like, and I remember Zach was like, maybe you should. Maybe we both should go back to work. And I remember, because I guess I assumed that he would be like, you got to stay home and do It Works. And at that point I was like, he's given up. Like, he's actually given up. And so I remember when Carter would ask those questions, I was like, oh my gosh, like if I were to go back to work, who's going to answer these questions? And every time I say that, my eyes fill up, because it's like, I was sitting there on our couch thinking about it. And I was like, if I'm gone too, who's going to ask? Like, who is he going to ask? Like, who's going to answer where mom and dad is? Like, first he's got us and now we're both gone. And I remember sitting there and I literally visualized so hardcore, like, let's say I were to go back to work tomorrow. How is my life going to look? Well, what's the social media post I'm going to post? Because they know my whole life. Now they got to know that I'm done with It Works and now I'm going back to work. And how am I going to explain it? What am I going to say? What are they going to think? How are my bills going to look? And I was literally visualizing it so extreme. And it was so clear to me that I was like, I hated the way it felt. Like, it made me sick to my stomach. And I was just like, that's not what I want. that's not what I want. And so that was really the turning point, was when we had that argument. He was like, maybe you should go back to work. And then to my son. And so there were, I said this too, I'm sorry, I feel like I have to address every time I say it twice, because I don't know if you heard it. And I don't want to act like that person that keeps repeating themselves, but there was no magic, nothing crazy that I did. I just was like, I literally made that decision of, I'm sick and tired of being like sad and mad and thinking no one has it as hard as me because my newborn's hard. And I had all these excuses for it to be hard, because it was hard, but I just didn't want to feel that way anymore. And so it was freaking hard. Even though I made that switch, it was hard as heck to get back up on it. But it's like, once I made that shift that I don't want to wallow around in it anymore, and I'm just gonna, like, I can't change it. My husband's not coming home. At that point, he said he was never gonna come home ever again. He came home 3 months in, and he's never gone back and never wants to go back. But it's funny how, like, when you're not making money and things change, and it's just crazy. And so anyways, I knew that those things weren't going to change. I knew my son wasn't going to get any easier right now. They both weren't in school yet. Zach didn't want to come home. I'm like, I can't change this, so I have to work around it. And I just freaking did. But those were the changing points for me. And then you said something, I don't remember the second part.
How many people, so at that point, how many people did you have left that were like working?
Okay, so I always had a strong leg. She's always been set. She didn't sign up directly under me. She signed up underneath, and she's always been set. Outside of her, so I've never worried about her. She's always been outside of her. I had 10 people, because I made this video. I was so dramatic because I wasn't honest with them about losing rank. I wasn't honest with them about how hard my pregnancy was. I just sucked. And at that, I just did it. And so I knew I needed to apologize, and I needed to like address the elephant in the room and like make a change. And so I made this video, and then I emailed it to everybody outside of my strong leg. Weird. I just made this email, and I was sobbing, honest. I was my yellow self. And at the end, I was like, with all of that being said, I need to know who's in it and ready, because I got a plan, and I didn't know what it was, but I was just hyped about it. And there were 10 people that said, I'm willing to do it with you. All 10 of them, didn't matter what their lifetime rank was, they were all paid as distributor. I was only maintaining Diamond because I've always had a pretty massive, crazy, weird team to where I've had enough volume. I've usually always maintained by volume. So that's the only reason I maintained Diamond. It felt like I was like a Ruby with who I had left. So I didn't have very many people. 10 seems like a lot, but when they're all maintaining distributor rank, that's not
starting from scratch.
That is starting from scratch.
And this was in 2017?
2017 in January is when we started over.
And then you like went all in.
All in. That was when I think conference was at the end of that month or something. And I remember Zach went back to work, so I went to conference by myself. It was my first event by myself. So I did have a pity party for myself, feeling like I screwed up. Like, I'm the reason I'm here by myself. My husband's my security blanket. So I was so miserable, but prelims posted. Maybe this was in February. I don't know. Prelims posted.
Conference was in February that year.
Okay. So I remember we were at conference. Okay, so yes, we were at conference. Whatever the case, I remember prelims posted or something, and I had a $300 raise, and it felt like it was $60 bajillion, and I was crying, and I called Zach, and it was just so great. And then in February, that was the month of conference, I regained double diamond, and then regained triple in March, and then we went presidential in April. So we were paid as diamond in January, in April. In presidential in April, and we gave ourselves a $17,000 raise.
Guys, this is what conference can do for you.
All because of conference.
What she said in the beginning, she's always promoted right after conference. Oh, I have like goosebumps.
I am so hyped for conference. I'm so hyped.
Well, and you like know all the secrets because you got your little booty to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. So now there's the last part of that question. So when people are coming to you and they're feeling defeated and they're I'm tired, I'm burnt out, I'm busy, how do you keep pushing? I mean, you know, for you, I'm sure once you went through such a significant loss and got it back, you're like, I never want to stop. Like, I have to just keep going. I never want to do that again. Yeah. But not everybody is like that. And, you know, I told you, like, I have some girls on my team that have, like, you know, really fallen back in rank, and they're really wanting to, like, just turn things around, and like, what is your advice for those people?
Yeah. And you're right. When you do lose it, it doesn't matter what rank you lose. As if you lose rank one time, you do get scared. You're like almost scarred for life of like, maybe I really never can stop working. So when I did come back from that, I was scared and I was like, I'll never, ever, ever not work again. And I'm never going to get pregnant again. So I felt like I'm just like ahead of the game, and it scares you. But I feel like this is what I feel like, because this 2019, it has been the best year we've ever had in our business. Like financially, we've made the most and everything's great. But I have lost rank in 2019. And, there are some things that are inevitable. And so I feel like sometimes I feel if we don't take the time for ourselves and our family, and we don't honor that, I feel like if we're not going to give ourselves that rest, God's going to force it on us. And I wonder, I know everything's part of the plan that I can't control and stuff, but that year that I lost rank twice, I was working so freaking hard, like past hard, to where it was above everything. Was above my marriage, was above my kids, was above everything. It was end all be all. And I never did stop. I didn't stop. And then I got pregnant and I was just miserably sick, to where I was puking, sleeping. So I was forced to stop. But I feel like sometimes if we don't honor that and we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, it's like, we're not supposed to just go all in. It's great if you're making a lot of money, but you can't let your life like dwindle down to nothing. And it's so sad. Like I remember getting in so many arguments with Zach where he was like, you had me before it. Oh my gosh, it makes me so sad. Like we would fight so many times and he'd be like, you had me before it works, and like you're treating me like crap. And it gets addicting. It gets really addicting. And so what I'll say is, going into like this busy I'm used to saying going in, as if, because we did this like all December was prep. Now that we're in the beginning of the year and the boom season, it's like, you guys, even though it's so hot and fast paced and everybody's wanting everything, you have to take a second for yourself. And so yesterday was my first day of Sabbath, like full day of unplugging, and it's hard as it was so hard yesterday because I worked so hard this week, and I was on like, I signed 13 people from Monday to Friday, and I was like, I don't want to stop because then I'm not going to be able to sign anyone. And like, it's been so long since I've signed someone every day for 6 days in a row, and I didn't want to, but I was like, before this year, I told myself I was going to honor one full day of rest every week, because I get tired and I get depressed and I get bitchy and I get like, I don't like it. And then I'm working for the wrong things. So if you guys are trying to make a comeback, or maybe you're like, it's not fun, or I'm just burnt out, that's what I have to make sure. I'm very
not fun. That's something that I've been hearing too, is like, I just don't feel like this is like what it was for me at one point. I'm not enjoying it.
And that makes me so sad, because we get like that, and I get like that. And the thing is like, and I think you learn as you go, but like it's 5.5 years. So I obviously know a lot of mistakes I've made and stuff, but I'm very in tune with myself, and I know when it doesn't feel right. And you don't have to be super in tune with yourself to know when it doesn't feel right. So like when it feels like it's hard, not hard, no, because it's going to be hard. Like when it feels like it's not fun, and you feel like you're forcing yourself in the wrong way to work, it's like, I feel like sometimes we need a little bit more of louder permission to chill out. And I give myself that permission, and I know I can still be successful if I'm not doing this 24 hours a day. And I've made the mistake of trying to do it 24 hours a day. So when it's not fun, you need to first know that you're not the problem. And it doesn't mean that It Works isn't for you, because guess what? This morning when I woke up and I knew I had to work again after taking the day off, I was like, this shit is not fun. I don't really want to do it, because I like freaking had the time of my life yesterday. I wanted to be on my phone, but it was also nice being able to like, I'm such a nerd, and Zach and I did a puzzle, 1,000-piece puzzle in 6 hours, and just put the puzzle together for 6 hours and just talk.
That's like my kind of time to hang out with my husband. It's building puzzles. I love that.
Yeah, because we're on our phone all the time, and he gets gypped all the time, and like, it works. We know what works for us, but it's like, to be able to just be free of all things, it's great sometimes. So then this morning waking up, I was like, oh my gosh, I just don't want to do this. So don't think that because sometimes It Works isn't fun, that it's not for you, the company isn't for you, or you're the issue, because it's not fun all the time. But you have to know when you're working at that point, when it doesn't feel fun, it's okay to channel your energy into something else and to chill out for a second. And I think because I have myself figured out, I know when that is, and I can like go on a walk or read a chapter, and then I'm pretty good and I feel good and I can work again. But sometimes you guys just have to like lessen the load. You don't have to stop completely. And so I just have to make sure I say that, because I became a hypocrite, and I realized that, and I had to call myself out, because for me personally, there's a lot of things we can preach when we're talking to a potential distributor. We have all these different things we could brag about with how amazing our company is. But for me, one of the number one things I preach when I'm talking to a potential is, this can be for anybody, because it doesn't matter what your schedule is. You can do as much or as little. And I know that means it's a double-edged sword. And I know some people might be against me saying that, because they're like, no, I want them to know they have to work. But I want everybody to know it can be for anybody, because that was what appealed me. Is like, I was like, I'm busy as crap, so you don't want me. And she was like, oh no, but you can still do it. It doesn't matter if you're busy. So I've always preached, it doesn't matter what your schedule is. If you want to do a little, do a little. If you want to do a lot, do a lot. So if I'm preaching that before they sign up, and then once they're in, I'm not honoring that, I don't know. So I just want to make sure I'm always preaching that to my team. Like, if you're tired, just relax, because I feel like if we don't give ourselves that time to relax and to rest and just to chill, we make these drastic decisions, and before you know it, you're in a different company, or you're like, it's too freaking hard,
or
and
you start resenting your business.
And people freak out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so clear to me, because I'm like, you just need a day off. Like, why are you trying to quit? What the hell? So that's the thing, is like, it's just, you just got to calm down. And then also, now I'm going to sound like, okay, which side are you on? But you also have to know when it's appropriate, because like right now, the first 4 months is like when the biggest promotions happen. So right now I'm like, I'm not trying to calm down. Yes, I took a day of rest and it was great, but like, I'm busting my butt Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because I do have these promotions that I want to get done. So you guys also have to make sure you're like, you know what to sacrifice and stuff, but just know that it's okay if it's not fun, because everybody has to force themselves to do this sometimes. But you just honestly have to do it, and it's worth it at the end of the day.
Yes, love that. Okay, so I always ask this question too, and I always get a different answer, so I'm interested to see what you're going to say. What does casting vision for your business and your team mean to you?
Yeah, this was the one question that I was like, I don't know. I hope she doesn't get to this one. Just kidding. Honestly, I think that for me, a lot of it, if I were to like put myself in my team's position, I have a very open relationship with them. I'm just a baby. I'm just such a sensitive baby. So I've always been honest, and we just have a great friendship for the most part. So I feel like what I get most, like the feedback and stuff, is what casts vision for them is when, one, I give them my energy and my one-on-one attention. So yes, I do team Zooms. We do them after this, 8 o'clock every night. We do team Zooms, but I also do diamond Zooms on Monday, leadership. Some people do leadership, some do diamonds, whatever. And I'm always giving them like on Mondays, it's like all of me to my diamonds and above, because I don't need to beat around the bush, and I can tell them what's working, I can tell them what's not, all the things, and then they trickle it down to their team. I feel like what works best for my team and casting vision and having them excited and stuff is me leading from the front, and I'm always trying to be the number one enroller. I'm always trying to be the loudest. I'm always making sure with my diamond, I have a diamond chat. I think that no matter who you are in this business, because we're all at different ranks, but you should always have a leadership chat. I mean, you're just the deciding factor of who determines the leader. I mean, there's a lot of people that could be in my diamond chat that aren't diamonds, but since my team is so big now, I have to just make sure it's got like a guideline. But I'm always like, I'm in my diamond chat all day long, because they're my leaders. And if I make sure that they're set, it trickles it down to everybody. So I cast vision for them. And then I feel like as a whole, it's automatic vision to everybody else. And so I'm just always making sure, like, I'm always enrolling. I'm showing them what I'm doing. I'm loving on them. I'm telling them it's going to be okay. I don't know. I just I don't know what the heck I tell them, but I feel like I'm talking to them all day long. Hey guys, this works. Hey guys, this doesn't work. Hey guys, someone has to go live on the page today. I'll do it tomorrow, but someone needs to do this. I don't know. We're just all like unified, and I don't know how we got it to that point, but we all cast the vision together. And I think I do keep it together. I think I'm the glue, but I just feel like that's the best. That's the best, is just being honest. And leading from the front, I feel like, is the automatic vision casting, because they don't want to be left behind, and they're like on my coattail. I feel like. So that's a hard question, but that's what I would have to say if I had to think of an answer. I feel like I cast vision by just leading from the front loudly.
Yes. I love that. And I just know what you're saying because you're like always posting your enrollments and like what you
Yeah.
have going on. Like you're always um so leading from the front and being this crazy enroller is probably one of the things that got your mover and shaker status for Costa Rica. So
Yeah.
what did that like feel like when they like announced your name on the call, and then like kind of like what was your experience there, just like being so in such an intimate setting with, you know, that group of people?
Yeah, it makes me so emotional because I'm like, I just really love It Works so much, and I have FOMO. Like my next upline is Tiffany Hirsch. She didn't enroll me. There's like 60 bajillion people in between us. They all have quit, and my specific enroller quit like years ago. And so Tiffany loves on me, but it's like, it's just, you know, I've never really had that person, you know, that upline. And so, corporate, I feel like, is my upline. And so when they announce stuff like that, like incentives, I'm like, I gotta be there because it's just, actually, it's pretty disgusting. My like case of FOMO is so annoying. Zach hates it because he's like, it's not the end of the world. So I really wanted to go. And so I knew I wouldn't get it. I knew I wouldn't get it by income. I just knew by the time of the year, and I'm just smart. I'm not dumb. I just wasn't trying to like BS myself and thinking like, oh yeah, I'll be number 9 when I was like 34. I'm just realistic. So I knew I'd have to like do something. And so I just worked really hard, and I did get 4 rubies. 4 rubies in my first month or my first 2 months. And I remember Zach, Mark's assistant, saying, you're up there with the rubies. And I was like, it kind of shook me during Costa Rica because I'm like, you saw how much corporate really does pay attention to things. Like they don't just care about income. They see it all. They see how many people you're enrolling, who's hot on your, like they can like pull all of these things on the records of like, how many rubies does she have in her downline? How many did she enroll herself? And it's like, it was inspiring to see like, okay, so I don't have to just make $60 bajillion a month to be seen. And so I kept doing that stuff. And I did have a couple of hard months throughout that Costa Rica qualification, but I was just very loud about like, I'm gonna be a mover and shaker. I'm gonna be a mover and shaker. And when they announced me, I remember that day I was in Florida, and I was supposed to go to Candy's house to hang out with her, and she was sick, and she called me and she was like, you know, you have to be on that Zoom tonight. And I was like, I know, I'm so scared. I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't make it. I've like literally made my mind up that I'm going to be there. And I remember she said something, and it was so defeating. It was so discouraging. It was something like, you have to be happy for everyone that gets it, no matter what. Call me after so I can talk you through your feelings. And that's like how she said it. And I was like, she just literally like let me down easy that I'm not going. And I was panicking. So I didn't think I was going to make it. And so when they said it on the call, I was sobbing. It was so great. And then I was so scared after that because I was like, this is going to sound so crazy. But then I was so scared because I was like, oh shoot, I like really screwed up and I never lost the rest of my weight because I got really skinny. I got really skinny in January of last year, and I walked the stage as a top result, like the results panel, and that was my motivation. I was already getting skinny, and then they asked me to be a part of that panel, and I was like, oh heck yeah, this is like the motivation I need. I got down to 186. That was super skinny for me. And then like the day after conference, I like said like, F it all. I'll get back to it. And then I went ambassador, and I was eating out every day, and then I gained so much weight. And so by this point, I'm like 25 to 30 pounds heavier. And now I'm going to Costa Rica, and it literally hit me like a ton of bricks that I was going to be the biggest girl there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was so scared. So I felt like I wasn't super excited because I was so traumatized because my insecurities just came out like crazy. And so I was very scared. And I will say that Costa Rica was one of the best experiences in 2019 ever. But it was a really huge, I'm not going to cry, but it was like a really big, sad eye opener for me of like how much issues I have with my like weight and how much it like dictates my whole life, because there were so many situations in Costa Rica that I held myself back because I was uncomfortable or I wasn't dressed as cute because I was uncomfortably like overweight. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going into 2020 like just feeling like I'm like ready. I'm more ready than ever before to like lose weight, to be happy, to be healthy, to be just all around better, because I didn't like myself at Costa Rica. I felt very insecure. I felt very quiet at times, and I did take a lot in, and it was an amazing experience. But I almost came back and I was like, shame on me. Shame on me for like letting it go for so long. And we have like our hands on this freaking amazing company and I'm not even using it. So I feel like I'm off to a good start with January or with 2020 because I'm just like, let's go. I'm ready. So it was great to rub shoulders with everyone. It was great to get that one-on-one attention. It was great to see where the company's like hearts are. And it was crazy hearing them talk so differently to their private group of like, they let all the guards down and they were just talking to us. And it was cool because they like addressed things like, you know, here's like, it was really cool hearing them say, here's everything we've done in 2019. And at the beginning I was like, well, this is kind of boring. Like they had like a huge list of like reformulation, all of these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be like science class, like all this. But then I was like, wow, we really did a lot. And Mark said something, and he was like, we didn't do all these things because it was going to be easy or something. He was like, we did it because we had to. And it was just that constant reminder of like, you know, those annoying things like, oh my gosh, I have not tried the new chocolate greens or the new keto coffee because I have so much old, but I keep hearing all these things. It's like, you either love it or you hate it. People are so happy or they're so pissed off that they changed it.
I have not tried the new keto coffee. I just got it.
I'm scared. Some people love it. Some people hate it. So it's like in those situations, not being a part of corporate, sometimes you get annoyed and you're like,
I didn't know they reformulated the coffee. I thought they just changed the packaging. When Carrie was on Jade's recap Zoom and she was like talking about the coffee, oh my God. And I like was messaging Ashley Mirth and I'm like, what did they do with the coffee? And she's like, oh yeah, they like took something out of it. I'm like, dude, I still have black coffee. Like my bags are still black, so I don't know.
So do I, because I bought like 4 packs for like my auto for months on months. And then when I was getting big, I was like, I'm not gonna waste my coffee because I'm like living my best life. So it was cool. That was really cool to like hear like, oh my gosh, they're really like, it's almost like, who do I think I am?
Rebranding.
Yeah. Everything is rebranded. And then like little things too, like, you know, you think little things were special. Like when we were in Costa Rica, like we were on a bus, like an hour each time doing excursion and we were on the bus a lot. So like we were always sitting by different people. So like one point we were sitting by Kyler and I was just asking questions and little things that were just so reassuring, like, hey, just like, why don't we always have free shipping? Like, like when we have these free shipping promotions, like, don't you guys get good turnout? Like just wondering, like, you know, thinking for us, it's like, we always kill it. Like, why don't they want that to be all the time? And then hearing his like scientific, like explanation of like, well, we would actually lose this much money. And if we did free shipping, it would have to be, and it was like, oh my, it just makes you think like, oh, I don't know it all. They really do have our best interest. And there really is a reason why it's not always super easy in all these promotions because they do take a hit. Same with the cheaper kits and stuff like that. And it was just like, I don't know.
Just said that it was reassuring to hear that they do have our best interest.
Yeah.
Because one thing that I've heard a lot of complaining about this year is why are they raising the prices and dropping the BV?
Yeah.
Why did they change the kits again?
Mm-hmm.
Like one thing someone really just was like, why did they increase the price of the Confiance at $10?
Yeah.
It's like, well, they reformulated it. And by them putting better quality ingredients in the products to keep the price point down, they have to pay us a little bit less so that our consumers can still afford the products. And like our lash serum is the most affordable on the freaking market, and the BV for it is amazing. And I'm obsessed with like the whole Nassif line. Like my skin is like living its best self at 31 years old. Like I've never felt so young. So
it's a really good line.
I love that you just said that. And Kyler, yes, he is the son of Mark and Cindy, but he's a distributor.
Yeah.
Like he has a distributor account. He's not in corporate, right? He still has his DT account.
Yeah. And it's cool. Because it's like, there was a story Cammie said, we were like in the hot spring. And Cammie said something like when Mark got sick, he got everybody on a call, all of his family members on a call, or they brought him in, one of the two. And he was like, here's the deal. Like this is my vision. This company is my dream, my heart and soul, but if it's, I don't want to force it on you guys if it's not the same. Like he didn't automatically force, like at that time when he was sick with his health and everything, he didn't automatically force it. He asked, and it was just crazy hearing her talk about it, because she was like, he literally basically laid it on the table and said, I'm sick, and I don't want to force you guys to step up just because I'm sick if it's not your same vision. I want you guys to still live your separate lives. And she just, it was so beautiful, because she was like, me, Kinsey, and Kyler were like, if it, our, like, this is just as much our dream, if it's not more of our dream than yours, like, you're not forcing anything. And that was when they all stepped up, because at the time Cammy was still in the field, Kyler was 100% in the field. I mean, now he helps out a lot with Mark, and he's doing a lot of stuff with, I feel like, the products and stuff, but it was crazy to hear all of that. And it's like, we already know it's a family-based business, but it was like,
it's really a family-based business.
They're not all doing it because they have to do it. And so I think it's really cool that we have like Kyler still in the field, and we have so many people playing both sides, because they really are like, hey dad, this is what the people want. Hey, this is what's good for them. This is what's not. So it was really cool. It was almost like I felt like we were like in corporate for the weekend, like the insiders. And I felt really good. Not that I went in there scared of anything, but I felt like, oh my gosh, to me,
I would have been intimidated as hell. I would have been so intimidated. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. It was so crazy. And then hearing stuff too, like explanations with like the discounted kits and how like all these things. And then like how with a loyal customer, if we all got back to like a minimum of 60 GV as the average customer instead of it being 30, like right now it's 30, which is like the keto coffee is like our regular customer, and how like that would do so much for, all these things. It's like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know it really affected the company that much if we all get 30 GV customers. It was just weird. I'm not green.
The marketing stuff that our brains don't think about.
I'm not green, so I don't think about that stuff. So some people probably like, yep, you're right. I was like, whoa.
You're
okay.
Like, blown.
Cool. So cool. So yeah, all in all, Costa Rica was great. They did drop a lot of secrets. They did tell us a lot, but it just felt like, you know, I left and I was like, I don't ever want to stop working, because I don't know how I could ever miss one of these. And I was like, then Zach on the way home was like, listen, babe, really awesome that you were a mover and shaker, but they don't pick the same mover and shaker twice. So you got to be an income earner next. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Like I was freaking out. Like I really got
like, dude, I need to go like triple 2.0.
Yes. I was like, shoot. But yeah, it was awesome.
Okay. So, I'm just going to ask 2 more questions. We have like 13 minutes left. Okay. So you promoted to ambassador with the new charts. So like, what is your system for charting with the new charts? Like, do you overchart before you start pushing for a promotion? Because obviously we know the boxes that are on the chart don't give us the minimum GV requirement. So
correct. Right.
What's your system for that? I know you're not green, so you probably
not green.
This question.
I'm not green, so this might be this might be one of those like answers where I'm judged, because this, oh gosh, so many people do it so different, and I don't know what the right way
to do.
I don't know what the right way is. Like I haven't heard of a good system yet. I just do my own. But I have my Diamond 2.0 in front of me, and what I do, this is how I chart. I just like above the rubies. Mm-hmm. I do 2,000, and then I put a scratch, and then once it's like the 15th, I'll like put the number in front. But I do the number in front, like, so obviously a ruby needs 2,000. So like on the 15th, when like more autos have ran, I will put that in pencil, and then I erase. I'm weird with that stuff. And then what I honestly do is I do the bare minimum first. So like for me personally, this person is box, but like I will fill her box, and then I'll stack, and I will literally just go from like left to right based on their strength and their weaknesses. So like, let's go, like if we were to break it down, that's like a big chart. So let's talk about like Ruby. What I preach to my team. Ruby chart. Yeah. What I preach is like, here's the deal with the new charts. I think they're great. I love them. I would much rather have easier charts, less paycheck. Personally, I would rather have my check be down, but an easier way for my team. I'd rather have more people promoting, and maybe our checks are a little bit lower because we have less boxes, than having it be super hard and less people promoting because it's hard as crap. Gosh, so many people are like messaging me. It's annoying. Okay, so it's like okay. So with that being said, with Ruby, just anything Ruby and above, I tell them that they have to make sure, because I've noticed on my team, people have 2 legs and they keep leaving that third one just like dangling. And so I recommend, I know for Emerald, you only need that third box to be just a box, but I'm always saying stack like 2 to 3 people under that third box. So you always can at least fall back on Ruby, because I have a couple personally enrolled diamonds and above that are maintaining executive on like the last day of the month, but they have like 8,000 in volume. And I'm like, that's because your third leg is weak. So if your third box can't stay at 400, you need to put a couple people under there, because you're literally going from basically emerald or diamond to executive because of those 2 strong legs. So I personally recommend filling out your 3 and then doing 1, 2, 3 underneath, and then boxing those rubies, and then maybe putting a third to where that third leg is boxed for executive, just because with my downline, it was so significant, the amount of people that third leg was like so not there. They can barely keep
it. Same.
And then they place like an order. They place an order to get them to 400, which is great. But are you just going to do that every month? Why don't you just put a couple distributors under them?
So like, say you enrolled me and, I went out and like filled out my 3 top line rubies. Would you say, okay, like go hard AF for customers and let's get it filled? Or would you say, let's get a few more distributors under these people before we start pushing for the volume?
If it was a new distributor that signed up, I would probably get them those 3 distributors and then a bunch of volume.
Yeah,
I would. That's what I just did with one girl.
Your new DTs host to post?
Do I have them host post?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do right away. So what I do when I sign up a new distributor is I add them to my team page, and I just have this live video that I did like in July. And I don't know, it was just a good one. We all tag our people in it, and it's just literally like 8 minutes of me talking, hey, blah, blah, blah. And I talk about host post. And then when they watch that, I'm like voice messaging them. And honestly, a lot of my people either did host to post, like they already know about host post, because I feel like I have everyone on my Facebook always host post. So I just explain the concept via voice message to my individual distributors. And then I have them, their step 2, their first step is watching the video. Step 2, I give them a starter post, which is just this little lame template that I should probably redo. They put it up on their Facebook. And then I say message 35 girls on your Facebook, some type of host post script. Hey girl, quick question, like that thing. Mm-hmm. And I have them going right away, because I feel like if I don't get them in active conversations immediately, they're like snail pace.
Don't do the whole like message your friends and family and ask them to be customers. You're like, girl, go message for host to post.
I did the family and friends for years, and then I think it was last year in the beginning of the year, I was like, I've had enough. I went through a phase where every single person, it was like every newbie we signed up, their family and friends were like so horrible, to where they were like, whatever their responses were, the new distributor was like, this is defeating. If you're telling me that this is my easy list that I message first is going to help me out, and they're not even helping me, how am I going to be successful with this company? That's what I found. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sabotaging.
Well, I think a lot of people find that too. And then then quickly they're like, oh, what did you get yourself into? Like I had 2 DTs back to back that I signed up, both call and cancel like within 24 hours after enrolling, because their parents or siblings or whatever was like, oh my God, you just got yourself into, you got to get out of that.
Yeah. And they freak out.
And I'm like, it's annoying. Dude, what do you mean? No, I gotta cancel.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, and then I find like they're doing the host post, they put their starter post up. So then I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like their family and friends like automatically come to them, or they like have the initiative. Like some of them will just message them automatically if they like don't care. I don't know, but I just don't have them touch their family and friends. In my head, I'm like, they'll come around if they come around, and if they don't. But I just was like, I felt like I was sabotaging them because they freaked out.
You enroll a good amount of DTs. So do you find that like they're getting their shopping sprees quickly doing the host to post?
Yep. Yeah. Like
within that. That's so good. My leaders chat right now is like blowing up. Everyone's like, oh my God, I'm loving this.
Yeah. Do host to post right away. So like I've even been having them, I have them do like the 35 messages to the females on their friends list, just saying, hey girl, quick question. Giving away $50 next week. Did you want entered in, or whatever that is? And then I try to have them like within a couple hours after their startup post, like post the giveaway. Because we always let our newbies, like when we do giveaways, we let our newbies get in for free. So we have them posting right away, and we just go all in with the host post. And then I just feel like the rest
of the post is still working. I don't care what anybody says. It's working. You got to be smart with it, but it's working. Like one of the girls on my team, Sarah, she signed up 6 distributors this month from host to post. It's the freaking 5th.
Ooh.
Like, bye.
Yeah, that's really really good. I used to
Yeah.
do so she does sorry, I'm not like trying to pin the questions on you now, but
No, okay.
did she
She
do
does it on
distributor?
Instagram.
Oh my
So
gosh.
so she does, so right now I'll just like tell you what she's doing. So she's doing like unsend resends right now on
Yeah.
Instagram. And she's unsending and resending literally, oh, 7 now, get it, girl. So she's like literally like, hello, who are you? So she's like messaging and just like sending the script like, hey, like I'm offering $100 Amazon gift card giveaway to my followers this month. Do you want an entry? It's like no cost to join. And they'll be like, sure. And she sends them the things like, you just post this in your story, and she has a little picture she has made, and they post it in their story and tag her, and it has her phone number, and people DM her. And then she's like, immediately, as soon as they start, like she gets the message, she's like, okay, like what do you need, that like how much extra money a month do you need? What are you going to use it for? And like talks to them about that stuff first, and then gets into like what we do. And she's literally 7 on the spot enrollments this month.
That's wild. Oh
The
my
fit.
gosh.
Yeah, she's a savage.
Oh my gosh,
Okay,
that's
we
cool.
have 5 minutes left. So my last thing I'm going to ask you, I know that you're like huge on personal development. So what are like your 5 best personal development that you've done in the last year?
Yes, cool. I would say slay like a mother. Let me type this in here. Slay like a mother. I got that because someone on Lifers told us to slay like a mother, and I got it. And then I was like, oh no, this is one of those like you're a badass mom kind of books. And I was like, because I like technically
Is
we all
that
know.
the one that you just recently were reading?
Yeah, and it was
listening to your story all the time.
and then we went camping, and I was like, I just read it. I read it. It's not one of those. I mean, it is one of those, but it's like it was like life changing. It wasn't just like you are a badass. It was I don't even know how to explain it, but it was great. Slay like a mother. I don't know the authors to this. Success Commandments was my last book.
Success
I did
what?
Success Commandments by Devon. That one I know. That one by Devon Franklin. That one was like a game changer. Like I cried throughout that one. That one you probably should buy like now. And then Built to Last, or Build. I can't remember. Built to Last, Build to Last. One of the two. And I don't know who does that one, but it's like a yellow cover with like a tool on there. Was really good too. That's literally about building.
Is it about network marketing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if you're like a diamond and above and you want to be like a bomb leader and you actually want to like learn high performance habits is your book. And I'm still reading it. It's like 800 pages, but it's not a book for pleasure. It's a book for like when you have an hour in your office and you don't have any kids bothering you and you really want to learn how to be a high performer. It's good. It like my eyes. You guys know when I'm serious. So I'm like, it's so good. And then the last one I would say that really, I read this 2 years ago and I still recommend it. I should read it again. Is the Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. So good. I actually heard that if you read that after a couple years, you hear it all in a different way based on your.
I have one book that I read like once a year, and it's called Just Ask the Universe. I think the guy's name's Michael Samuels. It's like you can like take it out for free from Amazon if you have Prime. And you can read it in like 2 days. It's a super short read, but it's all about like the law of attraction, manifestation, all of that. And like I read it the month I went diamond, and now I just read it like at least a year. It's like one of those books. Rachel, I'm so excited. Thank you so much. I'm going to take a quick pic. So everybody put on your best smile so I can post this to the gram. Oh, awkward. I took a boomerang. That's not what I was trying to do. All right. Perf. Thank you so much, guys. I'm going to get this up on my thing. We kept it under an hour and we got to almost all the questions. We got to the important ones. So thank you so much for taking